Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show. Let's transition now to our next conversation, and that is the St. Louis Cardinals. If you guys are still on blogtalkradio.com/behindthepen, continue to listen because the entirety of this podcast will continue to be played for you. And if you're on YouTube, what's up, guys? What's up, Cardinals fans? This is your segment. Drop a comment, like down below if you could. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Really helps us out. We really do appreciate it. But I'm talking your team today because they've been in the news and they've also kind of piqued my interest. I want to look at how they're constructed going into next season and are they really contenders? Because let me be flat out honest with you, I think they are. But first, we have to get to the negative news. You guys already know about this. Alex Reyes diagnosed Tommy John surgery. He's going to need it, which is unfortunate. Obviously a top prospect in the Cardinals system, and now he's going to be forced to miss pretty much the entirety of this year. And, Tommy John surgeries have happened in abundance to younger pitchers, but it's a surgery, obviously, we've seen players come back from and had success. So that's what you hope for right now if you're the Cardinals. You also have to hope for just moving forward going into this season because it's got to be played. And you look at this rotation, there's an interesting note. Trevor Rosenthal, who was a pitcher back in the minors, I believe it was like 2010, 2011, he was a starter there until, before coming up with the Cardinals as a closer, and he was just dominant throughout his time. Now he's trying to come back. He wants to try it out and become a starter for the Cardinals, competing for that fifth spot. It's up for grabs. Michael Wacha looks pretty good early on. Best shape of their lives, right? Spring training, pitchers and catchers report, this guy, buff. Everybody's in the best shape until they're not really, and they're fat and they're out of shape. But most of the time, that's all we hear about when pitchers and catchers report is people in shape. And Michael Wacha, I think, has the upper hand right now. Luke Weaver's a part of that conversation. He's top 100 prospect according to MLB.com. That'll be interesting to watch for, but I think Wacha has the leg up right now. And if anything, Rosenthal can be used as depth, or if they want to stretch him out some more. Obviously, that takes a while. The reliever, especially a closer who throws as hard as he does, to transition into a starter's role, got to be able to keep up with that as in terms of durability on the arm. So some fun stories early on, maybe some unfun stories with Alex Reyes. I apologize for that. But I look at this team, and I consider them definite competitors in the National League because there are a lot in the National League going into this year, right, that are considered legit playoff threats. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch what this team can do, especially because they have such a nice mix of young players and, I guess, veterans or more aged players in the. I'm not going to call them veterans because they're not spending 8, 9, 10 years in the majors already. Some have. But at the same time, they're still old enough to be considered guys who have been around for a while, if that makes sense. Steven Piscotty, I think, is a star. I think he's one of the best hitters in the game today. Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter's moving over to first base, and that opens up Alemedis Diaz and Colton Wong up the middle. You also have Jed Jerko filling in at either up the middle spots. So that's nice depth to have, as well as Jerko can play third. Carpenter obviously can go back and forth. He can play third if he needs to. He can go back to second if they need him. I don't know what Mike Matheny's thinking ever, a lot of the time, right? And I don't know what your opinion is on Mike Matheny. I hope you guys can see that he's just a flat-out baseball moron. Most of the time, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't mean to just bash on Matheny out of nowhere, but it's just right? Cardinals fans, you can vouch for me if you're on the same page. Because a lot of the time when I'm listening to his press conferences and they ask him, questions that make sense. I want to understand what your thinking was in terms of what you did in the ball game in that situation. And they provide analytics saying, well, this player against righties is, hitting the ball at a lot better rate than this guy. And he dismisses tangible evidence as if analytics aren't even a part of the equation. It's just his mind, his brain. He former player. He knows what it is. It's the eye test. It's my way, whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm not going to give you any reason to otherwise. You know what I'm saying? That because for example, you'll have Colton Wong struggle for a couple days. He'll get sent down to the minors. What does that do for the guy? Nothing. He's a major league player. He's a major league quality player. And obviously, if you want to send a guy down to the minors to shore up some things, I guess I understand it. but you're not going to bench him for a week and a half for making a mistake, right? And what's up with him playing Brandon Moss so much in September when they were on this run trying to make it to the playoffs? They finished a game behind the second place Giants in the wild card. Excuse me. Yeah, and the Mets. And Brandon Moss is hitting like 110. And Mike Matheny's putting him out there every day, but benching Colton Wong. It's just, and Randall Grichuk. Randall Grichuk's confidence is shot, and that guy's, he's going to be good. I see a lot of good in him. And sometimes Matheny just makes me scratch my head. I hope you guys can understand it. He's just an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Just an idiot. Anyway, off that conversation, we're looking at the team as a whole. I mentioned their rotation, and I mentioned Luke Weaver, but right now, according to Major League Baseball's depth chart, it says Wainwright, Martinez, Leake, Lynn, and then there's a plethora of guys fighting for that fifth spot, including Waka, Weaver, and Rosenthal. It was Alex Reyes, now he's gone. But is that okay for you, Cardinals fans? Would you want the Cardinals to make a move for maybe Jose Quintana? Because he's out there, and the White Sox it's not going to come cheap. But I think if you add a Quintana, the Cardinals become super scary. Just out of nowhere scary, legitimate scary. Because Carlos Martinez, I think, is an absolute stud. Young power pitcher who impressed a lot of people last season. Mike Leake, ground ball guy. Lance Lynn, all right. But if you add Quintana to that rotation, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you guys can go 6 deep. And that's a serious threat. Outside of the rotation, however, you bring in a guy in free agency in Dexter Fowler, kind of paying the Cubs back for stealing Jason Hayward away. Even though Jason Hayward's like, Cardinals fans are like, you can have him. $180 million speech during extra innings, that's fine. Pay for that. Because, boy, Hayward looked terrible last season. Awful. Just grounded out to second base over and over again. Just sucked ass. But Fowler, legitimate center fielder with a ton of value. And he brings a certain personality I think the Cardinals were lacking last season. Kind of a dead team, right? And now there were reports, obviously this is just, chemistry stuff. Really can't look at the evidence that prove that this is going to be anything to look at as the season progresses. But you get a different vibe in the clubhouse. Players are getting along a little better. Things are a little looser. And Dexter Fowler provides that just with his personality. Reports are saying he already brought in speakers to the clubhouse just to add a little bit of energy, like I said. So that's cool. That's something that I think the Cardinals were lacking last season. So next to Fowler, you have Tommy Pham, who's another young, just a beast of a guy, just straight up a mammoth, right? He's just straight meat when he gets to the plate. And then Randall Grichuk as well, projected to be their starting left fielder. You got to let these guys play. Matheny, just let them play, let them do their thing, and then eventually they'll grow into guys who aren't afraid to make mistakes. Sometimes you play afraid to make a mistake, and you're gonna suck, right? Because the ball's gonna find you. That's the way it is. Other than that, I like I said earlier, I like the mix of savvy guys, like players who've been in the league for a little bit. That's Piscotty. Obviously, Yadi's a proven veteran, one of the best defensive catchers, period, in the history of the game. And many would say that he is the best. Joel Peralta, he's okay, right? You're okay with him playing there at third. But Alemany Diaz, guys, how excited were you when he came up out of nowhere last season? That's just the Cardinals' way. That is just the Cardinals' way. A guy like Alemany Diaz just scorching the ball as soon as he comes up, straight from Double-A. As if it wasn't even bothersome, the huge jump. And if you can hit Double-A pitching, you can hit Major League pitching. And he did that. And he put together a consistent season, batted around 300, I believe, if not on the dot 300. Posted a nice OPS as well. So good for Alemany Diaz. I think he's legit. I think he's a stud. It's another Cardinal product that's going to be really good. I think the move for Carpenter to go to first base is going to do wonders for this team because it adds so much flexibility, versatility within their roster, within their position players. I like it a lot. Their bullpen, you guys okay with that bullpen? Because I'm not. I'm afraid of that bullpen if I'm a fan. Segrist, Broxton, Cecil, Zach Duke, really? If Rosenthal's in that rotation, then Sung Hwan Oh, 34-year-old, who, my goodness, I'm looking at his stats right now. His career 1.92 ERA in 79 innings pitched, 103 strikeouts, .92 whip. Where do the Cardinals find these guys? You know what I'm saying? So he's going to project to be the closer for now. We'll see how that transpires as the offseason moves forward and spring training continues. Boy, I'm so excited. Actual games are being played. But that's the Cardinals for you. Cardinals projected, if you missed the over-under segment, I'll give it to you right now. Cardinals projected 87.5 over-under. That's just the Vegas totals. I know there are different projections for teams like Fangraphs and everything else, but that's what Vegas says. Would you give them 88 wins, 89 wins? I think they're on the brink. I think 87.5 is a really good number to kind of look at where the Cardinals are at. Last year, finished 86 and 76. We'll see what happens. But I really like Dexter Fowler's signing. Adds a lot to this team in more ways than one. Stephen Piscotty, I believe, is a star. Matt Carpenter, another star. And their rotation. Adam Wainwright comes back and just dominates the way he is. Carlos Martinez proved that he's an electrifying young starter that the Cardinals can rely on day in and day out. That's exciting. Do they want to make a move for Quintana? Well, that remains to be seen. But overall, this Cardinals team is solid, and I think they're going to be competitive in the National League this year for sure. Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.